Hey everyone, this is Nitro. So in this video, I'm going to be starting a Let's Play of Battle Brothers. Now, I may convert this into a stream, depending on, I guess, how popular these videos are. So, let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this series, this first video or not, right? I'm going to just start with an individual video and hopefully maybe work this up to a stream and so on, depending on how popular this series will end up being. So with regards to this, what I'm going to be doing in this video is starting a new campaign in Battle Brothers, which is a turn-based strategy game on both Steam and Good Old Games, and it's actually one of both the most difficult games I've played and most enjoyable. It's quite rewarding, although there is no real story to the battles. It's kind of like a sandbox where you just wander around, do missions, and slowly make your party more powerful. For this particular stream, I will have the following DLCs, which is Lindworm, which is a free DLC, and the Warriors of the North DLC, which adds multiple new human faction in the Northern Barbarians, as well as new starting scenarios. Because in the past, there was only one starting scenario, and it honestly got pretty boring. Okay, so I am missing the Beast and Exploration DLC. I may look into buying it in the future. I just didn't really want it. It felt like it was a bit expensive for what it added. It was around, I think, $12 or so Canadian, and I just didn't really feel that it was worth it. But we'll see. To be honest, I was planning on doing this video series after they've released another DLC, which they're working on right now, which is, I think it's called Blazing Deserts, where it adds, the desert factions with early game guns and mortars and that kind of cannons, those kind of weapons, right? The initial early game gunpowder weapons, if you will. But the company that made Battle Brothers, Overhyped Studios, apparently due to COVID-19, they're not working as much. I guess their kids have to stay at home and they're more busy with, family stuff than they are with working at this time. So as a result, I'm starting this campaign without that new DLC. A little bit disappointing, but still. I have not played Warriors of the North, so we'll see how this one plays out. So let's begin a new campaign. Just a quick note, if I click on load, for example, I do have a company that lasted 319 days on expert mode with Iron Man turned on. So I have played this game quite extensively without the DLCs. Alright? So, what's new with this Warriors of the North update is you can now choose various starting options. I haven't done any of these, by the way. Rebuilding a company is the traditional start, and this new update, Warriors of the North, added all these new additions. For example, with any other, for example, this Peasant Militia one allows you to bring up to 16 men into battle at once and have up to 25 soldiers in your roster. But you can never hire anyone that is not a lowborn peasant. So if your characters die, you're going to have problems rebuilding them. But being able to bring 16 men to battle is a pretty nice advantage. By comparison, so there's various options that you can have, pros and cons, like Band of Poachers, for example. They will carry fewer items in the company's inventory, but they start with woodsmen and they get to move faster and get scouting reports of the enemies that they face and so on. So, various options in terms of starting effects. And I think I'm just going to try the whole Peasant Militia thing, simply because one of the things I was not a huge fan of was just the soldier limitation, right? You could only bring 12 soldiers into every battle. So the long term, being able to bring 16 seems like a nice advantage. The downside of going Peasant Militia is you can't hire any of the higher level classes like Hedge Knights and so on, who generally have much better stats overall. But nonetheless, I think being able to bring 16 characters would be an interesting playstyle, at the very least. So let's just begin. And you select the flag, I guess, to customize it, and a name for your company. whatever. Nitro's Fury Death Company. And late game crisis is just a near, there's a big war that tends to occur near as you get to the later stages. It can be a war between noble houses, a greenskin invasion, an undead assault, and I'm just going to make it random, so that makes things more interesting. You can also turn on permanent destruction, where cities and towns are permanently destroyed, right? I'm not a big fan of that one, because once all the cities and towns are gone, your campaign is permanently done, right? So we'll skip that one, right? And finally, map seed is it's just a seed you can give to your friends or so on, and they would play on the exact same world as you. I'm just gonna do a completely random map seed for this in this case, but like, you know, you can share map seeds and play the exact same map as other people. So finally, economic difficulty, I'm going to make it expert. Starting funds, I'm going to make it low. Combat difficulty, going to make it expert. And I'm going to turn on Iron Man mode, so you can't save scum. So let's begin. This should be quite interesting. So this is basically as difficult as I can possibly make this. Hunt down bandits, ward off raiders, trap wolves attacking the farmsteads, all in a militia man's work. And if more is asked, then there is simply more to answer. All to keep your home of Sundersand safe. When nobody called on you, you and your group of ad hoc fighters took to the field in a battle between highborn. You didn't know their names or their quarry, only that one mustered you and your men to the field, and so there you went. Unfortunately, a low-born man with a spear and shield is little more than a peasant with misgivings of a warriorship. The militia was used to hold a contingent of enemy knights in place, while your own side's archers rained hell from above, hitting knight and peasant alike. After the battle, you and your men fled the field for good. You took up arms as sellswords and swore to one another by blood pact that you'd never have a highborn in your company. A mercenary band of motley men, and that is that. We are our own lords. Interesting. So, starting position is in the south here, as we see. Factions on the map, there are 3 that I can tell, right? This group in the north, right? This group here with the arrow one, and this group with the sun symbol. And generally speaking, I like to find an area where I can very easily travel amongst multiple towns, right? And it seems like the best options is either staying where I am in the Sun faction or going all the way up north to this other faction, right? I'll probably stay south for a while. You certainly don't want to make a long travel until much later in the game, when your party is more powerful, right? And in general, you want to find various places where you can make, let's see, you generally want to find a place that has at least a fortress, preferably, right? Like this stone keep that you can rotate amongst. So I'd probably wander amongst these 5 locations repeatedly until I can get stronger. You know, early game is not about traveling around the map, it's about more or less grinding up your party. And the ideal is when it's like the ideal map, which makes things easier, would be if the roads between your multiple locations go to each other. So maybe you have like a circle you can travel amongst. This map doesn't really have that, but nonetheless, should be okay. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, then, wrap back around kind of thing. It's not ideal, but I can make it work, more or less. The north doesn't particularly have that either, looking at it right now. So the random seed can be very lucky or unlucky depending on how it goes. But yeah, so with all that talked about, quick overview, I guess, of the map, let's get started with the battle. So I'm going to just initially, I guess, move to this location, the closest one. And I can see I don't have much crowns, and the other resources slowly wear out too. So here, Once you're in a location, you're allowed to pick up contracts, hire new characters, and purchase items. Right. There may also be other things you can do, like this harbor allows you to travel to other locations. But I'm kind of broke. I'm probably going to stay, as I said, in the south rather than travel elsewhere. So let's take a look at the contract. This is a 2-star contract. And it asks me to go to Dornheim. Let's see. $200 gold plus 50 gold. I don't even know where Dornheim is. You know what? Let's just accept it. I need some time to think about it because I'm going to exit out of this location and identify where exactly Dornheim is. So it's on the other end. That's actually okay because I'm probably going to travel there anyways, right? If I go in a line like this, I'll get there. Generally speaking, you want the missions that are viable, right? Keep you in the area you plan to do your missions in. So I'm going to accept that. And in the marketplace, let's see what there is to purchase. So I see that there's a sling, pitchforks. Slings are new. But pitchforks are definitely worth purchasing. And ideally, if you could buy some tools and so on to repair your gear, that would be great too. But what about the sling? It does less damage than a bow. Ignore armor is similar, range of 6 versus range of 7. But slings don't use ammunition. So generally, if you have ammunition, bows are better. Otherwise, slings could be used. I don't think it's worth purchasing though. But this is definitely a good deal, right? Because it's at 50% damage, which makes it very cheap to buy. So I'm definitely going to buy that one. There is very limited funds in the early stages, and I should expect characters to die. So that gave me another pitchfork. And I'm going to have to identify some members of my party before I get started, because characters you recruit are totally random in terms of what kind of stats that they have, right? Generally speaking, of course, beggars and daytailers and so on would have terrible stats, and then better characters would have better stats, of course. Like fishermen are used to physical labor, so they have increased stamina, that kind of stuff. So let's quickly go over my party. Growth is determined by the stars on their stats. So the more stars you have on those certain stats, the better the character will be. Oh, this is new. A warfork. A cross between a spear and a pike. And it also has a range of 2. Cool. And this is a slinger, right? A poacher, optimist, with both melee and range increase. So this is a guy I absolutely want to keep alive, right? Just quickly scrolling through. This is another guy I think that I want to keep alive with a 3-star melee growth. Same with him. So there seems to be a few characters that are possibly worth keeping, but it also depends on what kind of stats, what kind of effects that they have. For example, this guy is irrational, which is kind of iffy. But I'll keep him for now, for sure. Right. And he also has this tiny, which means reduced melee damage. So he survives, but he does reduce damage and so on. And then by comparison, this guy is cocky, although he gets to act first. And so I think I'm going to make this guy one of my secondary line attackers. So let's give him this warfork and give this guy a pitchfork. This guy actually has decent melee skill and melee growth, so he is probably worth building up as my tank, right? There isn't very much good armor right now, so Let's toss that one on him for now. And yeah, this guy he's fragile, so he's an easy kill. So this huge number of characters makes this a little bit confusing in truth. I'm probably going to want to keep this guy alive too, right? Yes, so why don't I move some various equipment around? Right? I don't particularly want a guy that has fragile. Even though he has decent growth, long term, I think he's going to die. So I'd rather focus on making characters who can actually live, the characters I use. Yeah. As for the rest, I don't really mind if they die, so I think we look okay now. Fear of Beasts and Disloyal. This is probably a guy I want to sacrifice on purpose, right? And I actually have a lot of guys without even weapons, finally. So, some issues with this kind of start, right? Let's see if I can buy any kind of cheap weaponry to give these remaining guys. But the weapons are looking pretty expensive. Well, I guess I'll purchase that mace. And maybe I'll sell the loot, right? For some gold. And probably buy a wooden shield. It's 90, but I think it's worth it. So there we go. So I have a few more weapons to hand out, and then we'll get started at this point. Team player, content, Taylor. 2 melee stat growth versus 3. Well, whatever. Let's give him that shield and so on. And the militiamen, I can see have better stats, right? 57 versus like 50. So they start off with better stats. So I guess what I want to recruit long term would be more militiamen. Which is fine. Alright. So we'll just roll with this for now. There's a few characters without weapons still, but I want to kind of conserve some gold on hand, because weapons, they become pretty common after a few fights. And I don't think there's any need to recruit more randoms right now, when I don't even have gear for most of my current characters. So, that was the initial configuration. Took quite some time, but we'll start moving towards the east to do the first mission. Usually with these kind of missions, there will be a battle that you have to face. So we'll march along between locations. And I can see that I need tools as well. So there's a 1-star contract here, but I can't pick that one up right now. And there's also this effect of Terrified. Right? Fewer recruits, less... I can't afford recruits right now in the first place because they're so expensive. And the purchases here are very expensive right now because of the Terrified effect. So otherwise I would probably pick up this Warfark that's damaged for cheaper. But since everything is raised in price right now, we'll just skip this location and keep traveling. So let's keep moving on. I'm just going to turn on this higher speed option. Right? You can pause, you can move at 1 speed, you can move at faster speed. So let's move in to the next location. Also Terrified. It's not that Terrified is bad. Terrified usually means you can actually sell things for higher prices as well. Right? If all the prices are higher, then even selling stuff earns you more. But it's not good when you want to purchase stuff, that's for sure. So let's keep traveling to Dornheim. And I'm going to slow it down a little because I'm expecting to have a battle pop up as we move. especially since I don't want to do a battle at night early on. See, so there's some brigands, raiders, and these guys are absolutely worth fighting because they generally give very good gear. So let's get engaged. So, no archers for them, which is a big bonus. And my party is just going to... I'm actually going to have to change some settings here because... Let's show that. Let's see. Options. Let's always show hit points. We can have faster movement for sure. I'm not sure about auto looting though. Oh yeah, let's auto loot. So faster AI movements. Yeah, let's auto pause after leaving a city. And yeah, let's reset. So let's turn all those options on. They seem to all help. And apply and okay. Interesting, it's not showing me their maximum movement range and so on. I just can't remember how to turn that on. Well, we'll leave it for now. So I'm just gonna pause everyone, right? Because I'm hitting the spacebar because you can have everyone wait their turn initially. After all, I don't have very many ranged characters myself, and I kind of want them to approach first. So I'm just waiting for them to move before I attack. And the thing about spearmen and so on is they can move one tile to attack the enemy, but they can't move two and attack. So let's see. Guess I'm just gonna move back initially because I know this guy's gonna approach, right? I think they can move. What is it? 4 tiles? Like one. Yeah, characters can move 4 tiles, so you can approach 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. So I'm just gonna retreat back initially with my characters in preparation. So the goal here is to basically form a battle line. And I think I'm going to have some characters kind of draw attention. Getting my archer into high ground. Press spacebar on this guy because I'm waiting for this one to move. And let's try a knockout attack here. Missed though. So I'm going to start attacking with their attack skill at 2 range. Start slinging stones. at those guys. So I'm expecting this guy to die, you know. There's a lot of characters I expect will die in this fight, but that's how it goes for the early game militia companies when they're poorly equipped. Let's toss a net at this guy. And end Espen's turn. So yeah, just like that, that guy got hammered by the enemy. And I'm going to start chopping down on the guy who I used the net on. Well, let's move him back. He has no weapon after all. And question is who I should attack here. I think I'm going after the guys without shields in general right now. So let's go after him. Yep, one down. Pretty much expected though. Casualties are completely expected given the party that I'm running, right? And lack of gear. So I'm gonna try to stun this guy again, but it's getting blocked. And I'm going to have to offer another guy as a sacrifice. Alright. Let's just retreat. Ouch. Uh-oh. Stunned. That guy ran out of stamina, so that's why he can't attack a second time. Alright, so... there we go. Another kill. Oh, so the guy I wanted to keep, Espen, has already died. But it's no surprise, as I said, the early game stages, it's very difficult to keep characters alive. So, guy dead. So that guy was in full retreat mode. He had the white flag, which meant he tried to run away and killed himself. And there's 2 enemies left to deal with. So I'm just gonna wait. For them to move in. Because I don't want to be the one moving to attack. I want them to come into my lines. Like that. Ugh, another character died. So it's brutal early on. Had a lot of characters die in this fight already. It should be okay. I should get a lot of gear from this victory, which should help. Oh, that forced 2 of my other guys to retreat as well. So they are fleeing after that other guy died. So that's the luck element. When they have low morale and see allies die, they can start breaking. I'm going to move my archer forward. Fleeing, right? Not really surprised after I've lost practically half my party. But there we go. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 characters died. Actually, 5 characters died, but he actually lived. Right? Although he has missing fingers now. So sometimes when your characters die, they get to survive, which is not a bad thing. But Espen was the one that I really want to keep alive. Unfortunately, he's permanently dead, but the remaining characters got a decent amount of experience and so on. And loot wise, I picked up a good armor, 110 defense, right? I had no real armors before, and I picked up a bunch of new weapons and so on, so I can't complain. Basically, although a lot of characters died, the rewards were well worth it. And so I'm going to move to Thornhill to complete the mission. And there we go. 200 crowns. So now I can pick up a new mission, right? Here, trade routes have been ambushed, so prices are higher and so on. Much higher, as we see. So still not going to buy anything, but I'm going to look at re-equipping my characters now that I got a bunch of new items. Right? So let's re-evaluate my party. Right? I'm going to start moving characters around. Like the ones I want to keep alive, I'll put on the back line here. The ones I don't care about can stay in the front. And the ones that... So... Look at that. Angry because so many characters died in battle. But that's how it goes. So I think I'm going to re-equip him, who has pretty good stats with better gear. Right? He'll be my frontline tank right now. So he'll have the best gear that I currently have access to. And then most of these other guys can get shields at least now, at this point. And weapons of some kind. I really... yeah, let's give the mace over to him. Maces have the stunning attack, so that's why they're well worth bringing if you can have them. These weapons can cause bleeding, so they're worth bringing as well. And flails can ignore armor. Sorry, strike over the shield. So, in that sense, against shielded characters, flails are arguably the best, one of the best weapons. In fact, I would say swords are probably the least useful to me at this time. And in my backline, right? Really, right now I have just 2 characters I think are well worth building. Right, one is, or maybe 3. 1, 2, and probably this guy. I don't even know if I want to keep any of these. Maybe him. High resolve, high initiative, and decent melee skill. Yeah, I probably want to keep him alive. So let's actually stick him on the back line with one of these weapons as a result. Okay, so that sets up my current party with as much as they can kind of use for now. And I'm gonna have to hire new characters to replenish my losses. So let's take a look. Any good hires? Well, hires don't really matter, to be honest. You just recruit whoever right now, because you can afford to lose them. So I will stick with the cheaper hires though. Like, oh, you can try out characters now? That's new too. Not going to bother though. How does the tryout work? You know what? Let's click on it once. So you have to pay some cash to see what hidden stats they have, I guess. Which this guy didn't have any. Good enough though. I'll hire them all. Ah, there's a tryout fee. That's what it is. Okay. So when you have more gold, you can afford to do tryouts to test out characters. So moving on, let's equip these new hires with what weapons I have on hand. Right? And all 3 of all 3 of them aren't really what I'm looking for. Although this guy could be okay actually, right? With both defense growths. But his hit point is low. Yeah. Still, he's probably better than this guy who's already heavily damaged, so I'm going to rotate the stuff around a little. There we go. So I have various sacrificial characters and some characters I want to keep alive now, once again. So let's take a look at the contracts. Ooh. That's worth doing. A brigand contract. So let's leave. and get that battle started. So when you take out these kind of contracts, it shows you the location you have to clear. Oh, Brigand Hunters. They're archers though, so I'm probably going to avoid that fight. I don't really want to deal with archers right now. So, just 5 enemies, and they're actually poorly equipped, surprisingly. I guess that's why this is a one-star battle. So I'm just going to, once again, form up my line a little bit further back, initially. So I'm just going to shift everyone back a bit. I'd rather they approach my battle line when I'm on higher terrain. And ideally, I would not lose anybody in this particular fight, but we'll see. This guy's super, almost dead, so he's just gonna stay out. I applied a status effect on this guy. I have no idea what it does. Dazed. Cool. See, I'm trying to decide if I want to actually move in to attack, because if I do, you know what, let's do it. Because if you move one tile, your action points gets reduced by 2, and then you can only attack once. But he was actually able to kill with that. So it was worth it. This guy missed. This guy forced this guy to go into a fleeing state. So I'm going to just spacebar. Let's start moving up and attacking. So let's see. I think this guy's dazed, which means I can attack like that. And now I have to focus my attacks on this particular enemy. Three more enemies to fight. Gonna hold back with all the weak characters, and for now, range attack him a few times. Nice. So now they're both in retreat mode, which means I can just swarm in at this point. And you want everyone next to them, because that way when they try to retreat, they're going to take hits from your characters. charging everyone forward now. Definitely running them down in this case. Actually, I'm going to want to make the characters I'm trying to level up grow. So that would be my well-equipped characters who should get the kill. So I'm just going to end everyone else's turn. The characters who are just here for the sake of it. And the characters who should kill him is either Arnelf or Markward Eagle Eye. So there we go. Because characters who kill enemies get more experience. So that's why Markward Eagle Eyes got 90 XP just now, whereas a lot of others got 40 or 65. And the loot here was pretty garbage. Gold though, right? But most of the weapons I'm probably going to sell. So as for the hunters, because they're ranged attackers and that my party's not really well equipped to deal with them right now, I'm just going to leave it alone. And now I think I'm gonna try to get the battle standard for 2,000 crowns as my first mission. I'm not going to save up 1,000 crowns right away, but it's something to aim towards getting. So there you go. With that mission complete, Dornheim no longer has ambush trade routes, and I got 380 crowns. And that should make purchasing some of the tools and so on cheaper. Certainly food would be cheaper. Tools is probably the most expensive thing in the early stages, but also one of the most required to keep your gear repaired. So it's a little bit of a balancing act because it's so expensive, right? It's generally better to buy tools in bigger cities because the small cities, the tools are especially expensive. But right now I have no choice. I'm down to 0 tools, so I am going to buy this here. Which was a pretty big chunk of change. Let's get rid of some of these items. And take a look. So, Arnulf has gotten enough experience to level up. And I'm going to do that. And when you level up, you can choose 3 stats to upgrade. So in my case, for this guy, I'm going to increase his defense stat, melee defense. I'm going to increase his attack skill, of course. And the third stat, just looking at this, probably going to do hit points or stamina. It's one or the other. Hit points, I think, because his survival is the most important thing right now. And when you also level up, you can choose a perk to give to your characters. And generally speaking, the early perks is kind of your choice of, I think, like 9 lives, for example, is great for characters you plan to keep alive early game, but you're giving up a precious perk. So it's not a great perk for late game, but it's a very strong one for your tank characters in the early stages. I'm going to do Colossus though, to increase his hit points overall. And I think Colossus is another very, very good perk for all early game characters. So let's see. I wish I could attack that bandit group of archers, but I just don't dare to because my characters are poorly equipped to deal with archers right now. So let's see. A relic. I think I'll accept this. So it's another 1-star contract. So my early stage battles will be about killing off enemies while expecting to lose characters. So let's continue. Alright. So where is that new location in the north here? There's a wooden keep. Small village. The annoying thing is I don't think there is actually a large town in these southern areas. Oh, there is a large village. But there's no city. Right. So this is, for example, the big harbor city here. You know. In that sense, I'm wondering if it might be worth it for me to travel north. Due to the lack of large settlements, right? This area has Stone Keep, large city, you know. Long term, I'd probably want to be in the north, right? Because the long term, it has the large keep here, you know, the large city. That's the regular small village, but a large citadel, you know, medium size, and yeah, and large city. So all the large cities are actually in the north, whereas the south has all the small settlements. Although there is this stone keep. Wait, what is this? Yeah, that's a large village. So there's no large cities in the south, unfortunately. Nonetheless, we'll continue. So basically, buying tools will be a big issue for me, because they're going to be very expensive in the south. So let's head to the next location. I don't particularly want to attack this location at night though. So if it turns into evening before I get there, I'll probably have to wait a bit. It is evening. Am I gonna get there in time? I don't think I will. Dusk. Oh, I think I got there just in time. Ancient auxiliaries, that should be fine. Now this one's annoying because it looks like I have to move forward to engage them. So my front line is going to take hits before I can engage, which is not a good thing. Unless I retreat really far back. Well, we'll see. Let's just end everyone's turns initially and see how this plays out. Yeah. I think I'm going to move back instead of engaging. That way I can potentially get first strike on these enemies. And this will be the last battle of this first video. Uh-oh. one of the enemies got to act before my archer. So he's going to be forced into combat. Okay, good. So this guy continues to retreat. I am going to have to try to disengage. Fortunately, he got out. And this looks good. So let's start attacking. So by having them come to my lines once again, I'm able to have a lot of characters attack twice, which was my goal. Good. Just 2 enemies left. They don't keep missing like this. There we go. Going to wait because this guy has my best armor, so he should be able to take 2 hits. Better off waiting and taking the hits from this before moving in anyone. Right. So yeah, there we go. He tanked 2 hits, although his morale has decreased dramatically. There we go. So finished him off smoothly, although... and nobody was lost. Took some damage, got some... oh, and 95 defense helmet. And some weapons. Nothing special in terms of the weapons, but the helmet is nice to get. And like that, I can move back to Dornheim to finish the mission. And that will be the end of this video. But first, let's see. So I'm going to give him that maximum upgraded helmets, for example. This guy on the other end should probably get that. This is a decent shield. A few more characters leveled up to level 2. So let's increase his defense value. I'm going to focus on hit points for now, for survivability of my characters. And equip up the shields rather than the bucklers. He has 18 physical defense, but he is so injured right now with 8 that I'm going to put him on the reserve line. Okay. So this guy has exposed ribs as well. I'm not sure I should even leave him in the line of combat, so maybe I won't. I'll bring him simply because he can leech experience, but I'll put him in the back line so that he shouldn't get attacked. And this is a bunch of weapons I can sell for gold, basically. I think I'll repair these two because I think they can sell for more gold that way. At least the short sword definitely can. Not sure about these other ones. The other ones I think I'll just sell. Oh, I'll repair this one. The other ones I'll sell as is. And then the final thing is to upgrade my archer with melee skill, range skill, and probably increase his fatigue. Too bad it's only 2. So maybe I'll just do hit points this time around. And then in terms of skills, from what I remember, the first thing to get for them is student, so that they level up faster. Because student, you get to pick an extra perk at the end anyways. So it just means anyone with student will level up faster. And attack increase. Guess hit point increase. And I guess range defense. And perk wise, this guy is not for long term. He doesn't really have good melee growth or anything, so I'm going to do fast adaptation so he has higher chances to hit enemies in general. Or hit points or that kind of stuff. Yeah, since he's not going to be a long-term character, you can afford to pick non-optimal perks because he will be eventually replaced. So I think increasing these guys' survival ability is important, right? So like 9 lives, Colossus, fast adaptation for increased successful hits are all good. Pathfinder is also very useful. I'll do fast adaptation. Ailing? Hearted? Wow, that's terrible attack growth. Attack. I guess. Hit points. And I'm going to... Let me see. This guy is actually one of the guys I plan to keep, right? And he actually has decent resolve, it looks like, compared to a lot of the others. So maybe for now I'll build him as my spear, my banner bearer. So initiative, I guess hit points, and maybe attack. So I'm gonna name him the Bannerman. Yeah. I'm going to start labeling some characters so that I know what their role is, right? At least the characters I plan to keep. A lot of these guys I don't plan to keep, so they will remain unlabeled. And since I plan to actually keep this guy, I'm going to have to be careful about his skill build. So let's start him with student. Alright, so configuration complete. We'll move my main party back to town, and that'll be it for this video. So we got off to a decent start, picked up a few useful pieces of gear so far, which means my party has grown significantly in strength, right? And I'm able to already start completing some various missions, which means that financially, my party is relatively stable already. So, 290 gold. This town is now in high spirits, which means that things should be cheaper here. So that's why I guess the tools still expensive at 310, but better than before. And I'm going to, I guess, buy both sets of tools for now because I need them desperately. I have enough pitchforks now, so I don't need that one. And most of my party has, my frontal 4 characters do have shields now. So those are better than the bucklers, so we're okay on those for now. Other than that, food is 62 costs, which is okay. But I still have quite a bit of food on hand right now, so I don't really need to buy that yet. And the dyes, 413 costs is too expensive for them right now, so it's not worth it. But I will sell out the equipment that I don't plan to use. 25 to 35 damage cleaver, right? Compared to, let's say, the Falchion, that's 30 to 45. So clearly, need the... I'm not sure if this is even a worth using weapon, so I'll just sell it. Same with the Militia Spear. Same with the Crude Axe. I'm repairing this short sword because it looks like I can sell it for more gold later. And that will be it for this first video. So next up, I'll be traveling to another location because I need to get new hires. Since, after all, my party can be a maximum of 16 characters, right? So I'm going to want more hires, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Nitro out.